everyone, and welcome to Friday, November the 14th. Halfway through the month. Can you believe that? It just flies, man. It really does. Goodness gracious. And to the you who do not believe it flies, well, good for you. Anyway, good morning, everyone. I'm Jim, and I thank you for joining me for a little bit of coffee and conversation. And this exploration and diving into doing podcasting things. And it's been very good. I hope it's been good for you too. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today? The big topic of the day is this is actually National Novel Writing Month. And we're going to come to that here in just a few because I'm a firm believer everyone's got a book in them. Now, how good or how bad is it? Totally irrelevant. The main thing is you've got a story to tell, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. And I've got my nonfiction out of the way for now with Toys or Totems, but I actually do have another novel I was working on before that that was a very therapeutic thing I was doing, total fiction. But anyway, we'll come to that here in a little bit. Yeah, taking a look what all's going on around and about and things. If you go to 72601life.com, which that looks like crap on the screen, but here, I'll do it like this. If you, no, that doesn't look right either. You know what? Never mind. Go to it yourself. 72601life.com. You can check out the weather forecast, which is gorgeous. I know early predictions had it could have been dicey, and my pal Brandon and the crew with Storm Track 360 were ready to go. But it looks like that weather pattern's out of the way, so we're looking like it's going to be pretty nice, actually. So enjoy a beautiful weekend in the Ozarks or wherever you happen to be, because it's going to be a lot of beautiful things. Speaking of which, now I think this one should look okay. There are a couple things that are happening this weekend in Harrison, Arkansas. Now I'm going to start in order of calendar appearance, not favoritism. But if you are not aware, the Ozark Arts Council is going to be kicking off the Our Town performances at the Lyric Theater, and that's going to be this weekend, 14th, 15th, 16th, and then the second run, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, next weekend. So be sure to check that out. You can go to thelyric.org to get your tickets. And I tell you, if biggest advice I can give to anybody in the world when it comes to downtown Harrison, if you're a business down there, keep your lights on, brother, because the Lyric is going to pack out that square. So congratulations to them for, again, another great performance. Now, next up is for Saturday night and featuring some of my favorite people in the world. And that'd be, well, I'm not going to name names totally other than, JJ the Space Cowboy and, of course, the Gary Graham, my favorite local wrestler ever, period. And so, yeah, there you go. He's got a big card put up. 15-man battle royal is going to be the big thing that Saturday night at the fairgrounds. You don't want to miss this. Great night of family fun and just professional wrestling at its absolute finest. So with that said, make plans Friday night. Go or Saturday or Sunday. You can go check out where you got Our Town in Our Town of Harrison, or you do it all, right? Right. And then, of course, Mid-States Wrestling returning to the fairgrounds on Saturday night. So, that said, let's come back over here. And another thing I need to talk to you about, because, man, things are coming together nicely. I'm going to do a quick adjustment here so I can show you more and better. Make sure everything looks right. But the virtual stump is coming along, and I'm very happy because it's officially kicked off now. The first candidate has stepped up to the microphone and camera, and I come to you, all candidates. Don't worry, I make this as easy as possible to inform the community on who's running for what and why. That's it. And if you go to 72601life.com and then click on the virtual stump tab, let me come over here. And you're going to see this right now as it's being updated. But these are all the folks right here in Boone County who are running for the March elections that are coming up. And the big race, big race is found right here for Boone County Judge, where you got 5 folks who are contending to serve you in the role of Boone County Judge. And that's pretty awesome. And then the sheriff's race being with Tim Robertson and Mark Forsey. That one, and speaking of Mark, he is the first one to step up to the plate and share his who he is, what he's running for, and why he's doing it. So you can check that out at 72601life.com/virtual stump. And here we got to say, and the video's everywhere now. Because again, it's like figuring out what all's going on with how the Facebook works nowadays versus how it did before. It's it's a little confusing because it's like, it's I know in the past, putting out a post, a video, a image, um, and you had followers and subscribers and all that, things would show up. Nowadays, not so much. And how to overcome that, I don't know. But I do know if you see something and you like it, interact with it. Truly engage, because otherwise they're going to keep throwing stuff. They're going to keep throwing stuff at you anyway. It's funny because I don't know about you, but like in Facebook land, where everything populates there, as far as like in my feed, if I like one thing, then I'm going to get like, I won't be too hyperbolic, but I'll get 10 or 20 other suggestions of other pages and groups in the same genre. Great, more of what you love, right? But man, it's kind of kooky to be a part of. See, it's like if you use X. Okay, for those of you who are on like X / formerly Twitter, I'm really curious. What's its purpose for you? I wound up doing the premium, so I get the blue check mark thing, so people would hopefully know I'm not a robot. Um, and I wanted to test drive it, right? So I did that, but I'm still looking for like a real worth in there, outside of entertainment value of random. Well, not random, but most of it, I don't. There's no community on there. Like where Facebook, you get the opportunity to still build community. And so your feed may be full of whatevers, but you can have groups, which I'm in a few groups that are just awesome, man. People I've known forever online, and we can still connect there. And for the most part, I get the updates whenever somebody posts. This is a wild, wild, wacky world. They said before it was the wild, wild west on the online, but I'd say it's much more chaotic now than it ever was. As far as like, it's like they put in like a 10-lane super highway with no real clear exits and no way to merge back into traffic comfortably. I don't know. That's just me. But anyway, the virtual stump is up and running. I'm reaching out to every candidate that you saw that has filed by the deadline, which was Wednesday at noon. Because again, the reason for this outreach is very simple. It's in a community, and I hope people in other communities around the region, around the country, everywhere, if I can spark and inspire you to do the same locally where you are, because now where we are, no one's doing this as far as like I'll say the official entities. Um, and I'll be so bold as to say one of the problems is it's kind of a boring thing. Local elections are always considered to be kind of boring, especially when you're in a midterm run. But that doesn't change the importance or really how necessary local offices are, right? So, but to find the information and trying to be an educated voter can be tough. And so again, this is why this exists. My goal, as soon as I can get with everyone, to schedule a time to come get there, who they are, what they're running for, and why they're doing it. And then simple video, nice and fun. People like video, right? I like video. And we'll put it on there. And then, of course, share it out as wide and far as possible, because this is not a campaign thing. It is, in a way, but at the same time, it's mainly so you, the voter, in Boone County, gets the opportunity to see who these people are that are on the ballot that you may not know, and hopefully make it more than just a popularity contest. Just saying, that's my suggestion. And to the incumbents out there and those running unopposed for things that are open, because there are a lot of those races, I still want you. This isn't about campaigning. This is about connection. So for all of you who are running for re-election unopposed, let's still do this, because it's a great way for you to show your constituents that you genuinely care, more so than they just, tick the select all for all the incumbents and unopposed when you walk into the booth. Just saying. So anyway, so that's going great, and there we go. But it's Friday, so for a lot of folks, it means it's the end of the work week. For most folks I know, it's not, because the schedules are all over the place. For me, as what some would say, an entrepreneur, you never stop. It's 24/7, 365. And I'm cool with that. Because again, my number one and only product that I have to offer anyone is my book. And I got about 6 of the Book and Uncle bundles still available for $40, shipped to you wherever you happen to be. If you're local to like Harrison Branson, kind of, we may be able to work that out, or we just meet up, say hi, and everything. I don't know, but we'll work that out if you're interested. Makes a great gift. Why would I say that? Because I thought it was a great gift. So there you go. That moves us into today's topic when it comes to National Novel Writing Month. Have you thought about writing a novel? I have. And I talked about it for decades. But I never committed. I never did. I never sat down and made the commitment. And for a lot of reasons, but the main one is I just didn't believe I had the time to do it. And then I'd make up another excuse of, well, if I get started, I don't want to have to stop. I roll my eyes at myself on that because the truth is, if you want it and you make the decision to do it, you will absolutely do it. And I actually started a novel before I kind of got zapped in the head to write Toys or Totems. And it was, or it is, because it's 90% done. Let's see if I can get this adjusted here. But it's 90% done. And I say 90% because, well, there are just some fine tunes and tweaks that I needed to finish. But then I really, the lightning struck that I needed to write Toys or Totems. So I did. But the novel that I'm going to recommit to for the rest of the month, again, 90% done, a little bit of this, a little bit of that to flush out, but it's called Ashes of a Cult Classic, Resurrection of Maxwell Marx. Now, this book here, it's so funny. There's so much I can tell you about the backstory of the character of Max and the premise of how this particular story plays out. Now, it looks a little bit more spooky than it might be, or maybe not. That's part of the rewrite that I'm working on because there's some different angles to it, but it's totally a fiction thing. And that was something when I sat down and started writing Ashes of a Cult Classic, it was I had to break free of a lot of like mental things. It's like for me for a very long time is if I was putting anything out, it would have to have some kind of substance that I felt was more beneficial to the all, more so than just my own creative endeavors. And the because other, it's like if it was just for me, I felt like I was just being selfish in my actions. But the truth of the matter is, I had to fight like hell, the resistance in my head to accept the fact that when you are a creator, right, you're a storyteller, you're a movie maker, a musician, an artist of any kind, um, that in and of itself is a necessity for our fellow humans. We entertain each other. We do it more now than ever before. And it's kind of funny because I was thinking, another thing. This is another one of those little. Maybe it'll help you if you're doing things online or you are pushing a product like a book or music or something like that. Um, when you put something out, be careful of those analytics. Okay, when it comes to your likes, comments, shares, all that stuff, are they important? Sure. Are they really indicative of what's really happening with your efforts? I don't think so. I think it can be a bad manipulator because, as I hope most folks are understanding these days, when you're on social media, any of them, doesn't matter, when you're scrolling through your feeds and everything, you're getting hit with so many emotional shifts, right? And it's all in the dopamine reactions. Well, the real dopamine that's in your head, that where you get that punch when something makes you happy, something makes you sad, or when you post something and people like it, and when they don't like it. Again, it's like the chemicals that fire off in the brain. Boy, howdy, that can get you. So, again, I have learned and embraced that fact so that I don't get caught up in the dopamine addiction of it again, because I was before. I've done that, man. It's like I post something, if I didn't see it pop 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views, oh, it was a killer. I mean, it was so demoralizing and defeating and deflating. Don't worry about that. Don't do it. Now, if you're selling something and you want to see results, or the results kind of matter as far as like your effort versus the return, that does matter, of course, because you're looking to move product. But then ask yourself why. You either are working or not working when it comes to that particular push, right? And there are a lot of variables in there. There really are. A lot of folks will like to blame the algorithms or blame the platform itself for like shadow banning and whatnot, or you need to pay more to play. And that's not necessarily wrong either. But here's the best way I can help you kind of reframe that is that regardless of the immediate responses that you get and interactions that you get, the main thing is you did it. You did it. You completed something. You are, you're a big winner in this thing and called life and succeeding. And that's the reframe I hope I can help you with, in understanding that just because people aren't just knocking down your cyber door doesn't mean that you're not reaching people. Just saying. Old statistic from back in my radio days, back in the 90s, and I was at Kissin 96 FM in Little Rock, and I learned this fun little stat. Now, you figure for those in the north of the state and southern Missouri who aren't familiar with Kissin 96 FM, Kissin 96 FM for decades was the number one radio station in Little Rock. It was a 100,000 watt powerhouse. I'm sure it's probably still doing okay, maybe, don't know for sure, but it was the biggest station. Best. I mean, it was an honor to work there. It really was. Especially as a kid like I was, and to be fortunate enough that being born and raised in Little Rock, it just kind of made sense for me to grow in my career in Little Rock, and I did. But what I learned there that I want to share with you guys, when it came to people who would call in to the station, like when I was on air, it was, I mean, the phones would be like massive, man. People calling in with requests or just wanted to chat or giveaways, things like that. I mean, it's like the phones stayed hopping at certain times, right? Other times it'd be kind of quiet, but for the most part, they'd be hopping. And the statistic on that was for every one person who calls, you can pretty much bet you have 150 listeners at that moment, right? So now if you've got 20 calls coming in, 30 calls within an hour, you can kind of do the math there and you could get an idea of how many people were listening. Now, what does that tell you? And nothing has changed, okay? The world has not changed. I don't know the actual statistic though, so I'm not going to make something up, but I can pretty much guarantee you for every person who likes your content, whatever it is, there's going to be probably 10 to 20 who are not engaging. I know just looking at like YouTube channels, if you look at like a view count, just not even diving into anything, but if you look at like a view count, and then the engagement that's there, be it in comments or in the likes that they show you and everything, you're looking at best like a 10% match. 77,000 people watched it, 77 people liked it. That's like 1% actually. But again, it's like that ratio, because truth is, folks, it's not that they don't care, they just don't think about doing it. That's why everybody always does the whole like, comment, share, normally at the front of a video to encourage you to do it, because you're not thinking about it. And that is what it is. But back to the topic at hand. And the reason that I kind of went down that little bit of a rabbit hole is don't look for external validation when it comes to you doing your creations. I didn't plan on rhyming that, but it felt good, so I went with it. But seriously, that's such a trap. It's a terrible mental trap that if you are creating from a place inside of you that is you, keep doing that regardless of validation's nice. I'm the first to say I love when if I go over to Amazon and I see there's a new review that I didn't know was there, man, that's a big, huge hit and power pump, man. That's awesome. I mean, for people to have, number one, read the book, But then to take the initiative that it touched them enough to where it was worth their time to leave a review, um, thank you, because that means so much to me. It really, really does. Again, it's not about validation. It's about knowing that it connected as I hoped it would. Right? Right. Now, going back in National Novel Writing Month, I hope, if anything, in all these, national something something days or something something months or weeks or whatever, um, I know, beyond the shadow of a doubt, these things are just marketing ploys, or they started as a marketing ploy at some point. At some point, someone was selling something, so they said, "Hey, did you know today is National um, Generic Battery Day? What have generic batteries done for you?" Just so they could sell you more generic batteries. Great marketing ploy. I mean, truth be told, that's where Mother's Day and Father's Day comes from. Yeah, Hallmark selling cards. And I don't fault them for it, because it is good to have a moment in our busy lives to pause and give credit to things that we should show gratitude towards. But we get busy, distracted, living life, and don't take the time to just do a little thing like click a like button or share something or make a comment, because honestly, who cares? It's like you want to support people, but you're just kind of casually watching or listening, and you know. So to the creators out there, keep creating. Don't worry about the validation. Just keep going. Keep going. Every single day. Give yourself 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, to express yourself. Because again, I'm going back to, and I say all this from a place of I'm living it. And I've lived it for a long time. The ebbs and flows and ups and downs of it all. And this year, um, again, I don't care to go like, oh, woe is me thing, but this was the hardest year of my personal life to date. Hopefully, the last one, but don't know. But this was a humdinger, man. It was it was rough. A lot of loss in from death. The one thing that no one's going to outrun, right? It's coming. It's going to happen, and it's the only thing that is truly uncontrollable in your life, and my life, and everyone's life. Can't control that one. You don't know. We all come with an expiration date that we're not privy to, and it sucks. But it's also a part of the process, and really a motivator for living. Because I saw this, and it was on a Peanuts cartoon, Charlie Brown and Snoopy. Don't know if it's actually from there, because it's the internet and Photoshop. But I really like the saying is like, it was Charlie Brown saying, "You only live once." And Snoopy corrected him and said, "No, you only die once. You live every day." And I really liked that, and it really resonated. And it's something I remind myself on the darkest of days, which most aren't very dark at all anymore, because I figured out who I am and what I'm doing, and my decision to have one product, my book, Toys or Totems, soon to be two, because I'm going to dive into Ashes of a Cult Classic and wrap that bad boy up and put it out there. But that's a whole different audience and such that may or may not be interested. I don't know. I've never written a fiction book before. Done plenty of fiction audio things back in the radio days, and a handful of video things. But on the whole, I don't know. We'll just see what happens. I know I'm going to do it because it's a really good story. I'm happy with it. But there's a couple tweaks I want to make, and so I will. I'm going to finish it. We'll find out November 29th. I'll check in with you and show you where the book's at. Sound good? Deal? Deal. But I want to encourage you in this National Novel Writing Month. Um, if you've ever thought about writing a book, fiction, nonfiction, grab a piece of paper and a pen and start mapping it out, right? How do you do it? Simple. Um, you can start, honestly, it's like, I don't remember where I heard this, but it's good, and I've used it. But when it comes to thinking about writing a book and telling a story, and you don't know where you want to go, well, what is your story? You know it. Nobody else does until you tell it, right? People have observed your story that are around you, but they don't know your story because you lived it. Others observed it. But take a piece of paper and a pen, old school, and just simply start writing out the points in your life from the time you were born to where you are right now, kind of like start highlighting things, little moments and little memories. And then kind of look at those and think about the stories that you know from then. Now, from there are a lot of different points that you're going to come across that have a lot of different things that you can do with those points. Like, think about your first job. Remember your first job? Remember when you first showed up the first time to the place that said, okay, finally, we'll give you money if you do this. And you say, okay. And so you did it. Um, and then explore what that meant to you. Because normally, your first job is not your last job nor your current job. Uh, not anymore. And so, but you think about that. And what all did you learn? What did you experience? What did you see? What about the personalities around you? Brainstorm on that. And then when you do that, you could flush out a true story that you fictionalize a little bit because it was like really funny. One thing that's popping in my head, there was a time in, oh gosh, I can't remember exactly what year it was. It was the early 90s. And me and my buddy were in between radio gigs. And we wound up, he talked me into a lot of wacky stuff. But anyway, we wound up going to work at like one of those, it was Jiffy Lube. I don't even think they're in business anymore, Jiffy Lube. But it's like one of those 10-minute quick oil change places. Um, that premise in and of itself, you got these two goofy kid disc jockeys who go to work at a quick change oil place. That just leans a lot of fun. But there were some characters there and situations that I couldn't make up. You know, there was this one guy, Willie, who was in the lower bay, who dropped the oil and everything, right? And but he was great. I think he was probably, hell, he was getting close to 60, right? And 60-year-old black man, skinny as a rail, and he was funny. He was funny, and he used to say a line, and I have taken it and used it ever since, right? Never changed. I don't do quick change oil anymore, but that moment and that line from, what was the line? You're asking me. Here's the line. The line was, coulda, shoulda, woulda don't mean nothing. And I love that. And I've used it, and I've taken it, I've borrowed it, I stole it, it's mine. I don't care. Coulda, shoulda, woulda don't mean nothing. And Willie'd say that. And he'd sing a lot. He was a gem to be around. He really, really was. He was a good dude, Willie. And in a way, I kind of played homage to him with a character that kind of evolved over the years. But you wouldn't know this, other than it's who I see in my head whenever I was performing the character. And the character was Willie the Weather Dude. And me and my buddy Lance, we used him a lot. We got in trouble once. It was funny. It was awesome. But Willie the Weather Dude, he would do his thing right here. Oh, baby, his gimmick was he was a weather guy, but he was unconventional, but he was the most authentic because he did his weather forecast from the roof of the radio station. You don't get more authentic in watching the weather than that. And that was Willie's bit. And I always see Willie in my head whenever I would perform that because he was a great character. See what happened right there? I just came up with one moment from that little mind map brain dump I did and remembered all of that and saying there's a lot of stories there. The stories that came to be with Willie the weather guy, and then also you could say the nonfiction lessons learned in the moments. Because again, I look back at what has been an amazing ride of a life and know that I've had some experiences most people never have, or are having them and missing them because they're not paying attention or they take it for granted in the moment. It was funny on the jimbumgardner.com website. It was mainly a blog. I'm going to start putting some more stuff there. But anyway, if you go there, there's like a today's discussion thing, and it's the Jetpack app provided by WordPress will throw a prompt at you. And I was on a heck of a streak, man. I was like 275 days hitting every day. And then I got busy and I missed one. And I was like, oh, back to the point. But today they had a great one enough to where I'm like, man, I want to jot that down. And the prompt was, where would you want to live? Where would you want to live? And I can think of different times in life where I would say, well, I'd love to go and be XYZ. But I thought about it this morning, and it really rang true. And with everything that where I am in life right now, is truly where I want to be. We have the house here, we have the community here, and a great surrounding area. And I'm doing exactly what I want to do because I made the decision to do it. Why would I want to go anywhere else? So, in the prompt answer, like I say, you can go over there and read it yourself. But in a nutshell, um, if there's somewhere you want to be and you don't like where you are, go be there. Go. Now you say, I can't afford to move. It'd be scary. It'd be no opportunities. Then why would you want to go? But if you make the decision that you want to go, and you really want to be there, you want to live instead of where you are today, you like, man, my life would be awesome if I moved to Bug Tussle. Where's Bug Tussle? I don't know. But you want to go there, not me. But I want to be in Bug Tussle. That's where I want to relocate to. I'm going to get me a U-Haul. See if I can do the one-way thing so I can just drop it off and not have to pay the extra. But Bug Tussle, that's where I want to be. Well, go. Go to Bug Tussle. And any reason that you're not is just an excuse. Because if you make a decision you want to go to Bug Tussle, go to Bug Tussle. Here's the kicker. Perhaps where you are, that you're still at, you haven't left, you haven't taken the initiative to actually pack up, leave, go to Bug Tussle. Or even just move halfway to Bug Tussle because you're working your way to Bug Tussle. Well, while you're sitting here where you are, stop for a moment and look around and ask yourself, well, why do I want to leave? Why do I want to leave? Then be real. Be real with yourself. Did you really want to leave? Why am I staying? And then ask yourself if your opinion is based on your own personal experience and reality or influences from around you. People complaining, people saying there is no opportunity or there's nothing to do or all this stuff. And then you find yourself in a situation the grass is always greener. But think about that. Now, I'll address it head on. Now, why do I live in Boone County, Arkansas, in the 72601? Why? Well, I came here for all the folks who say there are no opportunities here. Right, you can't do anything. I left Little Rock, Arkansas, numerous times up and down the dial. That's why I was on the road, man. When I was young, I was literally up and down the dial from different places in Arkansas to up into Missouri and then over into Oklahoma and then back to Arkansas and Little Rock. But when it came to it, and at one point in 1997, I radio had kind of like it made a shift and kind of dried up a little bit. I left Oklahoma, went back to Little Rock, and I went to work for Carmike Cinemas. And it's funny and kind of dumb when I look back, but at the same time, it still kind of mattered. The reason that I went to work at Carmike Cinemas, making no money. I mean, man, you talk about an industry that doesn't pay jack. That's movie theaters. But I went in as an assistant manager. I won't even tell you the money. It's embarrassing. But I went in as an assistant manager, and then in a pretty short amount of time, I'd worked myself up to general manager and city manager in Little Rock. And after a couple years, I was just ready to go. And I got the regional manager, district manager, excuse me. He had called and said, hey, would you be interested in transferring? I went, maybe, where? And he said, Harrison, Arkansas. I went, where? Because I didn't even think about Harrison. Wasn't even close to the top of my mind. And then when I thought about it and started looking and realized that, oh, that's where Dogpatch was. And I was like, you know what? And I thought about it. And I wanted to move out of Little Rock. I was tired of it, man. I was tired of what all was, the crime was stupid. And that was the big thing. I was sick of the crime. Yeah, I was young and single, you know what I'm saying? But I was just sick of the scene. So I said, all right, I'll take it. So I took the train. I made the decision to take the transfer, moved to Harrison. And I was here for a few years. First year, I was at the what is now the Golden Ticket Cinema. Back then, it was the Harrison 8, and it was all right, but it was just really not going anywhere. And broadcasting was in my blood, and for whatever reason, however reason, to this day, I still don't know. I did get an offer from what once was Coyote Country. It was music. It was a 6 station network, did country music, and I was like, okay. KBCN was one of the affiliates of it, or the I guess that'd be the right way to put it. Anyway, the office was out of Branson, and so I agreed to do mornings, and frankly, got screwed on that deal. It was terrible. It was like I got there, and then they said, "Well, actually, what we're going to do," and I've heard that plenty of times in my career. Actually, what am I going to do is I'm going to, we're going to put you in the afternoon drive, which I loathe. I don't like afternoon drive. As far as like being a disc jockey, I hated that. It's the most non-interactive with the audience position on the air back then. Hated it. Absolutely hated it, because I was supposed to be doing mornings too, and also the money changed. And I was like, well, that's not good, but that was radio. You ran into that a lot. But I was like, okay. And then, not even 2 weeks into this thing, they announced that they were dissolving the network and we were all done. I'm like, radio. And so, anyway, I was kind of like, well, there you go. So here I go trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And it wound up staying in radio. Once again, the buddy of mine who had said it would be a great idea if we did the quick oil change thing. And it was fun. Once again, got Willie out of the deal. But it was funny because we wound up teaming up in Searcy, Arkansas at Quick 99.9. And so it's kind of funny. But what my point in all of that, again, goes back to you've made a decision to be where you are or where you're staying. If you do feel like you need to go, go. However, where you are may not be so bad once you really take a look around. Here's my point. So in 2002, I left Harrison and I did go to Searcy. Again, broadcasting, man, it was a rough life and in a lot of different ways and reasons. And so that deal itself, once again, went south. Oh man, before I even got the U-Haul unloaded, man, it was funky. But once you unload the U-Haul, what are you gonna do? You're gonna just roll with it, right? Unless you don't want to be there and you're gonna find another place to be. And so it wasn't very long, and then I wound up back in Little Rock. Then by 2006, I wound up back in Harrison. I made a choice. I had friends here. And with those friends, we had some ideas and we were going to try it. So 2006, I'm back in Harrison, Arkansas. Not much going, couldn't get a lot going. So 2000, I guess, it was the same year. After a few months, we couldn't get anything going the way we thought we were. And so I moved up to Branson. And so I lived in Branson for 2 years and walked completely away from all the broadcasting stuff and everything else. Always writing, always ideating, dreaming, and doing all that. But took 2 years purely into retail. And if you are in Branson, Missouri, and you will relate to this well, if you live in Branson, Missouri, and you work in retail, you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, all your friends need help. And so, if you're in Branson, Missouri, and you're working, you most likely have a minimum of 2 jobs. And it's not even about the money; it's about helping out your buddies. I had 4 jobs at one point. And for real, it was like I was an assistant manager at KB Toys. I was sales supervisor at Mikasa, and I did other part-time things at S&K Menswear when it still existed. And then also it was kind of maybe at one point I actually had 5 because there was the Reebok store and then also Kitchen Collection. I was also single, and I didn't have anything better to do with my time anyway, and I liked helping my buddies out. So that said, though, because it was great and it was a good experience, and then it led back to Harrison in 2008 when I came into town as the news director at KHOC. Not a good fit with that particular outfit, but they're a different outfit now, and they're doing great. But anyway, that led to everything where we are today, because if not for that, I wouldn't have met Dan Reynolds when they did their grand, I guess you call it the grand opening. Or what was I forgot the term. It doesn't matter. It was the grand opening of the K26 studios over there at Woodland Heights. And I got a chance to meet Dan and Ian and Gil and everybody, and it clicked. So when I left KHOZ, I went over there with Dan. And again, the rest is history that you may or may not be aware of. Point is, it was at that point I really made a decision to stay. Because once the KHOZ thing was not a good fit, And I was like, I could have went back to Little Rock, could have went back up to Branson, but I made a decision to stay here. I also met Alicia. Like, oh, it was a very serendipitous time when I got to KHOZ. And I definitely didn't want to leave her, and you can see why. And she didn't want to move to Little Rock, or whatever. But the point being, I made a decision to stay here and then make the best of it. Then throughout the years since, there have been lots of ups and downs where I was like, man, I'm sick of this place. I'm sick of this nonsense. I'm sick of the drama. I'm sick of the politics. But yet I stayed. I know, yes, I got a wife and family and home, but I've got enough persuasion skills that could have really pushed to leave, but I didn't because we wanted to be here. And every time that we would step out and do something and interact with people who really care about not so much just the community, but for their own efforts and actions to do good with other people. And this is not, I'm not talking about charity work. I'm talking about, which that's great, but I'm talking about when it comes to like the businesses, business owners. See, and again, if you say small business to me, I'm going to look at you like you're retarded because you are. There's nothing small about business ever. People who run these independent shops that aren't corporate owned and they're financed by their own sweat and labor, that ain't small. Don't say it. You're dumb if you do. Well, I got a little heated on it. I think about that because it's a demeaning thing. I digress. We'll talk about that another time. But the point being is this is a really great place to live. Opportunities are what you make of them. Because yeah, the opportunities for employment aren't necessarily a plethora, but there are a lot more than I think people realize. But it is a matter of what you want to do versus what you have to do. I don't know. Me, I've always created mine. I have outside of the KHOZ thing. I kind of push myself into positions, or I just straight created it. But that's just me. I'm weird. I know that, and I'm not going to encourage that lifestyle for anyone because it's risky, it's tricky, and it's nuts. However, if it's really in you, go for it. Figure out a safe way to do it. Not all about burning the boats to make it work, but maybe you do. Maybe you should. I don't know. It's up to you. But anyway, I think about that, and I say all that because it's a great way to kind of like reframe the way we look at things in life in general because where you are is where you want to be or you wouldn't be here. So today, there's a challenge for you. When you're out and or you're not out and you're just scrolling on the social and you're seeing people complain about this, that, and the other, ask them first, well, what's your skin in the game? Why do you have an opinion on this? Does it actually impact your life, or are you just screaming with other people who like to scream with pitchforks and torches? I've done it. I can own that. I've done it. And the worst part for me is many of the times when I did it very publicly, and people were looking at me, and I made a lot of people mad. Don't have any regrets on that. Should have maybe not done some things, but I try not to do that, to get into the mob mentality of things, because that's a total manipulation thing that's being done by these damn boxes. It's true. So, anyway, but in all of that, again, with the topic being National Novel Writing Month, know that look around you, your life experiences, make a note, think of those stories, and maybe it's the basis for a novel. Could be, but you won't know until you try. And it'd also be good just to journal it. Journal your experiences. They're for you to start, but then could be a great lasting legacy for your family. Imagine how cool it would be. And I think it's to me, it's cool, and it could be cool to you. But how awesome would it be if your great grandparents kept a journal, their real world on the ground, boots on the ground experience of the world in their 20s and 30s, maybe younger, and then to be able to look back on that from their real world perspective versus how we're told things once were. Because I don't know, you don't know, but boy, how awesome would that be? You got the opportunity to start that tradition now. So do it. Might turn into a novel. Main thing is start writing, especially in this modern era of technology and talking to people through boxes. I don't know. So there's some food for thought for you. Try it. You got nothing to lose. Again, my mission and goal is simple: to encourage you and remind me to always Embrace your organic creativity and connection in the age of AI and social media. What time is it? It is 8:45. I've talked your ear off this morning. The two of you who stuck around. Thank you. We'll have coffee. Just like that. Anyway, I thank you all for coming around and playing around. And yeah, there'll be weekend edition Saturday, Sunday morning. We do it 8 o'clock every day. Every day. It's an endurance test that I'm putting on myself to kind of practice what I preach. I got virtual stump stuff to do today. Be sure to check that out. I got to get links up because, again, the Facebook and the way it works, finding that page is kind of a pain now. I don't get it. But also the book bundle, the Book and Uncle bundle. I just like how that sounds. I've got to find some way to keep that going. The Book and Uncle bundle for Toys or Totems and the Uncle Sam B-flat natural action figure. Again, I've got like 6 of those left. So if you're interested, it's $40 shipped, and we can do that. Otherwise, if you just want a copy of the book, you can go to toysortotems.com, go through all the links there. Direct message me. I'd be more than glad to work something out where I can get it to you. And if you happen to be like a location that would like to retail the book, there are wholesale opportunities there too. So again, I'm on a mission there of 11,000 lives touched. Mine's open. Try it out. See what happens whenever you get in connection with the you that's really you, that you didn't know or forgot. But it's there, I promise. And that may be the one who teaches you how to write a novel. I don't know. Have a great day, guys and gals and boys and girls and children of all ages. And we'll do this again in the morning. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to do this because it's kind of important. Anyway, do what the screen says. Talk to you tomorrow.